have more information that's now coming in, and India has made it very, very clear that we are not going to take these kind of allegations lying down, especially considering Canada is yet to give any proof of the allegations that they've been making. A government source is now telling us exactly why India is upset with Canada. There are specifically 4 reasons that have now been put out. This, of course, has been conveyed to the Canadian side, which prompted the Canadian minister yesterday to come out and say that let's talk about this in private. In fact, it was Canada who made a public statement first, but now that they realize that India is not going to take this lying down and we are going to give it back to them in equal measure, Canada is now seeking private talks with us. Abhishek continues to be with us here on this broadcast. Abhishek, there are several reasons why India is upset with Canada, and those reasons have been made very, very clear to them. There are 4 specifically, including, of course, the fact that pro-Khalistani sympathizers there are being sheltered. They're, in fact, even allowed to flourish there because there's absolutely no action against them.
Well, we have seen these same elements who have been branded as anti-India by the Indian government, who have been involved in terrorist and criminal activities from the soil of Canada, and they have been having some sort of nexus also with people in Punjab. But the Canadian authorities have been reluctant to act against them. And now the latest situation has been that the Canadian, ever since this diplomatic row has erupted between the two sides and India, kind of took very aggressive measures by issuing advice to people, stopping visa applications for the Canadian citizens coming to India, and asking also for the diplomatic strength and rank to be paired with the number of Indian diplomats present in Canada. So since then, the sense that the Canadian government is trying to do has been that they want to, constructively engage and have some sort of dialogue with India, because the diplomatic presence in India is very necessary to cooperate and to facilitate various and thousands of families, the Canadian families in India, Canadians who have been living in India, and also other multi-dimension of bilateral relationships that also should not be impacted. While being asked by, several of journalists asked Melina Joly, the Foreign Minister of Canada, how are they, taking this incidence of India asking the Canadian diplomats to leave Delhi. She said that have been talking regularly on the issue, but some decisions or some conversations are best done in private. So this is what they have been saying, that they are not going to comment on the issue of diplomatic row publicly, and they have been in touch with the Indian government on the entire episode.
Right.
And it looks like the Canadian side is kind of trying to scale down the entire episode.
Right, Abhishek, do stay on with me. Senior fellow of the ORF, Sushant Sareen, now joining us here on this broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News18 on Nation at 5. We're seeing this diplomatic standoff only escalate between India and Canada. A public statement came to the fore from the Canadian Prime Minister, only to be toned down and later turned to let's have private talks, because India made it very, very clear that if you want to make public allegations, then we too will strike back.
Yeah, and I think the Canadians blew this right at the outset. If they wanted to have private conversations, then they should have continued with the private conversations. There are differences of opinion, and India had a lot of issues with the way the Canadians were soft peddling, in fact encouraging, I would say, even turning a blind eye, if not encouraging, to the activities of saboteurs and subversive elements who were active in India and working from Canada. So we had our problems, and if the Canadians had some, suspicions or had some accusations to make, they could have done this in private and we could have tried to sort it out, like mature nations would. But Canada wanted to play Pakistan, and Trudeau wanted to burnish his own politics back home. He wanted to, reach out and appease that guy Hagmeet Singh, whatever that guy's name is. And appease the Khalistani element, because he thinks that's his ticket to power. And then he shot his mouth off. And clearly India was not going to take this lying down. India had its own very serious grievances with the Trudeau regime in Canada and all their activities. Once you make these kind of public allegations, you try and cause reputational damage to India. If you think India is, one of those countries which has just been newly independent and still nursing a colonial hangover, then, as Putin says, maybe Mr. Trudeau has not gone to the right school, or he's not educated enough to know that the world has changed. And clearly there was going to be a pushback from India. That pushback is coming. and India is making it very clear that the activities of certain quote unquote Canadian diplomats in India, they are indulging in activities which they should not be indulging in, which is a very serious charge, for any country to make against another country. And if the Canadian diplomatic presence is being pared down, then this is something that the Canadians have brought upon themselves. This is nothing. I don't think anybody can blame India for what is happening.
Absolutely, it is for Canada to really introspect on how the last few weeks have gone and what really is happening right now and how much of it is their blame alone. But Srijan Sareen, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 and sharing your perspective.